Hello everybody, today we're going to be trying something a bit special today. We're going to look into Funcom's new project, which is called Dune Awakening, and they're saying it's a new survival MMO, because everyone's creating survival MMOs nowadays. You can't just have a normal MMO, no, it's got to be survival, because hopefully that's where the money is. Anyway, so we're going to look into find out whether this game has any of some of the footprints of Age of Conan and mainly Anarchy Online. I really want to look at some influences of Anarchy Online as a big fan of Anarchy Online in the new Dune game. So we're going to go through the trailer, we're going to go through some of the interviews that have come out, and we're going to try and draw some conclusions into whether this game is going to be any good, because I'm super excited. I'm currently playing Skull and Bones at the moment because there's actually no MMOs I want to play, and whether people make MMOs anymore I don't know, but maybe everything now is transitioning over to survival MMOs. So without further ado, let's see what we have in store. There we go. So just by typing it in, Dune Awakening, we've got Unreal Engine 5, which is always promising. That's pretty much the standard of what most survival MMOs and first-person shooters seem to be floating with, is Unreal Engine. At least you can have some good 4K graphics. So, Dune Awakening is our take on survival MMO in an open world sandbox. Good. Survival includes collecting water from plants and even bodies, keeping to the shade where possible to help reduce water consumption. Crafting, you will collect resources to craft an entire arsenal of weapons, gear, clothes, your base, vehicles, and more. Well, that's pretty good. It's got an all-encompassing amount of stuff you can do. Again, no hints on PvP, but look at this, right? So this is going to be out on the PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xbox. It was interesting to see if any of these are going to run in 4K, but we can only hope. Xbox and Series S, Xbox One, and of course on PC. And it is by Funcom, which is one of my favourite developers. So, and it's apparently, right, here we go, massively multiplayer online game. I swear I saw that before, so hopefully it can stick to the massively multiplayer online game part and less of the survival game part. But I have no idea what this game looks like, so we're going to jump in, look at some content, and find out what conclusions we can draw from it. And also afterwards we're going to look at some people's comments, because it's good to take people's comments, because people's opinions matter. Right then, let's see what we've got. I'm going to talk all over this and eat cake.
Fear is the mind killer.
Right. Oh, hang on. I've just done something. Pause.
Death
There we go.
brings total obliteration.
So if you read the book, or even watched some of the old films, or even the new films of Dune, it's going to be a lot like the deserts of Star Wars. So it's going to get a lot of Star Wars influences. Oh, a giant anus. Fantastic. These are the spice worms, I seem to recall. I can't remember what they're called.
My fear.
I remember Anarchy Online had a similar intro. What my father taught me when I had a gun, or something like that.
I will turn the inner eye to see its path.
Oh, he's got a little breathing problem.
Where the fear is gone, there will be nothing.
Yes, you've come well equipped to this fight. Oh, that's better. Right, that's good, because it's not going to be ranged weapons. Apparently you can just wield dual axes, which I hope that was dual axes, otherwise climbing equipment. Dune Awakening. Fantastic. Oh, it doesn't tell us too much. This is just the teaser trailer. The open world. Right, so now we can look at the actual trailer before we get into questions and answers. So let's have a little look. Oh,
Arrakis is a test.
Oh, these are fantastic cutscene graphics, by the way.
Survive it.
It's definitely creating the world. So here we go. Here's some in-game footage. I mean, it looks very pretty. It's got that kind of Star Wars influence. I love all the tech, the gadgets, even things like the backpacks and the clothes they wear. There we go. Maybe you can. Maybe it's friendly. Has anyone ever thought that? Hmm? Oh, it's got base building. And now it's got Star Wars: The Old Republic vibes to it. I mean, I've got so many questions, right? Let's so this, you got vehicle combat, you've got ground vehicle combat, air vehicle combat, base building. I mean, I do like the look of that. That does look like, you know, is it Peru? On where does Anakin Skywalker start off in the episode 4?
Arrakis is a test. Few survive it. But the humans that do awaken.
That character looked like who's it from America World Police? Is it Gary from Team America World Police? Have we been saved? Darker, darker, darker. Great. Now I'm a bit disappointed. I mean, disappointing that it's survival MMO. I've been playing Fractured Veil recently, and that's a very low budget. This is like a AAA title, but I can understand why they're good fun. But I don't think I'm ready to transition over from MMO RPGs to survival MMOs. I can imagine it'd be really good fun, but there's so many things that I have to, you know, big boxes I want to tick off. Like, I want to be able to craft, have multiple characters. I want to have a tank. I want to have a DPS. I want to have a healer, and I don't want them to be all one thing. You know, I don't want that one character to be all of those things. I kind of like rebuilding characters, playing the game again from the beginning, going through the early questing stages. I love stuff like that. But some survival MMOs just mean that you just jump straight in. You build a base and you're fighting with everybody. But we can only hope it's going to be a little bit more different. A little bit different. So we'll get this. We got that one. Now we've got this is what I want to see. This was taking place yesterday. They're interviewing, I believe, the developers. And we're going to find out a little bit more. Hopefully we'll answer some of our questions. Is there going to be any Anarchy Online influence in this game? We can only hope. Snipers, good. Weird spell casting stuff, good. Sexy little worm, good. Now just a bit.
Hello and welcome to the very first Dune Awakening Direct, a brand new series where we'll be taking a look at all things Dune Awakening.
She looks very Dune-y.
From our studio here on Arrakis.
Very cool.
On this episode, we'll be chatting to Joel Bylos. He's the Chief Creative Officer for Dune Awakening here at Funcom, and he will tell us what players can look forward to this year, and he will share some news about our beta testing phase. And then we'll also be taking a look at the brand new gameplay trailer that we're just.
I have to remember to sign up to that. There's the beta.
We'll look at what it takes to bring the
I'm gonna
most
sign up to that at the end of
dangerous
this.
planet in the universe to life, from book to film to video game. Let's.
Now I seem to recall the Dune paperback. The early one was purple. Anyway,
Arrakis is this unrelenting anvil against which people are beaten, shaped and forged into something that's stronger.
now there's been so much art done and concepts done because Dune has been around for such a long time. It's come from a very early 2D strategy game on the PC to a 3D strategy game, and now this is going to be its first proper world exploring game.
When you end a novel, it's like a train coming into the station that doesn't stop. You just jam on the brakes and let the spark.
Look at this. Look, you got tanks. I love it. Creating worlds. From book to film to game.
Arrakis is a test, is what the Fremen say.
Now I'm going to be watching Dune 1, and I know Dune 2 is just out in the cinema, so
Dune Awakening's a survival game at the base level, and it begins.
it'd be good to have some idea of what the world's like.
You're looking for water. You're looking for shelter. You know, where will you find water in the desert? Will you take it from others?
Certainly will.
When we talk about survival, sure, we start with the basic kind of survival. Survive. And then when you've survived long enough, it's now time to think about political survival and how you progress within the universe.
Progressing in the
The
universe.
approach we take when building a world like Arrakis is we kind of have to think about where are the stark lines and how do we draw these epic spaces? How do we make them feel huge and the player feels dwarfed by everything they see around them?
The intention was every time we saw the desert, it was highly brutal, and if you went out into the desert without the right protection and without the right knowledge, that it was sure death. We looked at references from some of the hottest deserts in the world.
It'd be nice if you have the thing where you go out, you forage, you know, go into some caves, find loots, and then you got to make it back. Because old Anarchy Online had this thing that if you died, you would spawn back into a city, and all of your equipment will be stored in a reclaims terminal, and you had to wait, I think, about 5 minutes, then you can retrieve it. But in PvP, if you lost all your gear, it's gone, unless you can go find your body before the player who killed you looted you.
We have our own army of concept artists who are sending things back and forth with Legendary all the time. One of my best moments on this project so far, actually, was I got to go and visit the set of the first film.
Oh, very good.
Of the people from Funcom, the art directors, the lead artists, and we got to walk around in the actual sets that they had built.
So I can imagine they've got maybe access to the assets from the films, from the 3D assets. Look at that.
From the inside and the outside, right? We got to walk around them and get a sense of their scale.
I mean, it's handy that this game's coming out so close to the film's release, or the second film's release. Well, there has been no mention of the release date at the moment, but
sort of led on a journey by the director and by the script, whereas
it can't be that. It must be this year at some point. Especially the beta. If I can get my hands on the beta. Look at this graphics.
Aspect for me is the fact that
I hope that was a graphics. Is that film? Is that film or game?
And you can build your own
There you go, look at this.
stories and your own places, and that to me is the ultimate goal, is to have, you know, complete control.
Using Unreal 5 to create a game
There we go.
is obviously one of the better choices. Unreal 5 gives us flexibility through the blueprinting system. It allows us to handle amazing graphics through the rendering system, the lighting system.
Yeah, so if you want a good PC, if you want to play this game, you better start funding it now, because you want to get at least 60 FPS when playing this, otherwise you're going to lag behind in the PvP.
And place a window.
Look at that.
The window lets in natural light, and the light will fill the room.
I think we can all agree at this stage this game looks fantastic. Look at the lights, the volume lights, volumetric light.
Before Unreal 5, in the olden days, you had to use what we called the LOD system. And that meant that you had to create assets at different LOD levels, so it doesn't slow down everybody's computer. With Unreal 5, we have this new technology called Nanite that breaks things down into the right amount of polygons at the right distance. So for us, as a
So
company, this
things
is
don't
a
get drawn
huge
in
difference
from
to the
far
visual
away.
detail of the world. It allows us to create
To be able to see
one
players from a
really
distance.
amazing-looking cliff picture,
Well,
for
it's
example.
fine, you can
And
zoom
it
in.
doesn't matter how far away or how close we place it, it performs well and it looks great.
Where Unreal worked for us on Dune.
Right, let's skip forward a little bit. I want to get to more of the gameplay stuff.
Drive to create something, to build worlds, whether it's in their head, whether it's in text, whether it's on screens, whether it's in games, bringing us forward into the future. It's the culmination of what Funcom.
Unique set of challenges, and I think it's very clear that both mediums draw deeply from the seminal book that started it all. Now, of course, Villeneuve's movies have mesmerized the audiences with their adaptation of Frank Herbert's masterpiece. It's been showcasing the intricate politics, the very stunning visuals, and the harsh desert of Arrakis. And now, as we venture into the game, the challenges of bringing this rich universe to life really takes on new forms. Right into this. Dune Awakening is a survival MMO. 2 words everyone watching will be familiar with, but
Yes.
what's your take on that? What is a survival MMO?
Tell me.
Sure. So survival games are obviously a genre of games about like building yourself up from the bottom and surviving. MMOs are more about social interaction and you know how players work together to achieve big goals. And we thought, why not combine the two? You know, why don't we create a game? Because most of the survival games that are out there, they kind of you once you get to a certain point of survival, it kind of ends, and that's kind of where you've
That's
gotten
true.
to. But what we thought was like the universe of Dune is a perfect place with these politics and this intrigue and there's machinations that happen. So let's get players hooked on the survival and then bring them into the political survival of the Dune universe.
Let's break it
Great,
down
so
then.
that's good. So he's hit the nail on the head there, because I like the idea of progressing and keep ascending beyond what the game. So as soon as you reach the ability to play PvP, you're not just stuck in that kind of single level of PvP gaming. You can keep going and excel. And I like I like what the politics aspect of it is. So in Anarchy Online, you used to choose a faction between the Omni, the clans, and the neutrals. And I'm hoping they're going to take a little bit from that group. Maybe have 3 factions, and maybe that's a big aspect of your character. So whether or not you can create multiple characters, I don't know, but I'd like him to get into more about the political side of things and hopefully explain what the character creation's like.
And dive a little deeper, starting with the survival part. What are we surviving on Arrakis? What's out there? I mean, worms, yeah, players?
Sandstorms.
What else?
Other players. Yeah, so the player, I mean, obviously Arrakis is all about the heat and the water. So the player, first of all, needs to be searching for water.
Notice he missed is players, other people, players, sand, heat, worms. Nothing to shoot. No creatures. No NPCs.
They need to stay out of the sun, stay in black shade during the daytime, travel by night.
I love it.
That's what the Fremen say, right? That's what the Kitan al-Gaib says it in the book, right? Black shade by day, travel by night. So the player needs to worry about these things. Think about the sunlight. Think about where they are, but they also need water because that runs out really quickly without a still suit, and you die very fast. So yeah, there's lots of ways in which to get water. You can explore dew fields and eat plant fiber to try and get water out of it. After a while, you start to throw up because you can't really get too much water out of plants that way. And then the way I prefer to do it is to shoot enemies, take their blood, drink that.
Right. Okay, that's interesting.
Just casually drop that right there. Okay. So we're harvesting blood, or just lick some plants, whichever way you choose.
It's kind of got that Tiberian sun feel from the Command and Conquer series.
Hydrated at home, in and out of game. Are there other resources I need to worry about?
Yeah. So as I mean, it's a proper survival open world crafting game, right? So players will craft their entire arsenal, right? So they'll be collecting resources, They'll be collecting stone, they'll be collecting metals like copper, iron, eventually
good World of Warcrafty.
Building up the equipment that they have at home, so they'll be
eventually crafting
all
steel.
Weapons, all of their gear, all of their clothing, and they can of course craft themselves a base to live in, craft machines to help them craft bigger machines, which allow them to craft better weapons and so forth.
All right, so there's a lot to do, is what I'm hearing. Base building you just mentioned, that's obviously very exciting. I saw you guys shared a sneak peek of what base building. Base building is
quite fun. I mean, but it does mean that it gets pretty lonely. Like, if there's no big cities or things like that to meet other players, in massively multiplayer online player games, there's always these big safe hubs of big cities where you can trade, you can meet people, you can hand in quests. Hopefully, there's something like that. Hopefully, there might be a big area where everyone can congregate, because otherwise, it's going to be quite lonely. These games mean that you end up going out on your own, build yourself a little shack, and then just spending hours just gathering stuff on your own until it breaks, until someone raids it. So hopefully there's going to be a big capital city or multiple smaller towns that, means that you don't actually have to create your own base or things like that. You can actually do it without.
It looked like already on your TikTok channel, very cozy. Why would I ever leave a home like that and head out into the desert? But I'm sure you guys give us plenty of reasons to do just that. Is there anything special about the base building in this game?
Yeah, so we took what we started with in Conan Exiles, our other survival game. We brought that over.
Conan.
Then we started to
Conan
add
Exiles
to it, right?
was good.
So
Age of Conan.
A system for co-op building, where you can place out holograms and other players can fill them in. So you work with your friends to build bases. You can also save your base as like an architectural blueprint that you can then sell to other players on the exchange, or you can give to your friends.
That's quite cool. You can sell your own base setups, like a roller coaster tycoon blueprints.
Friends were building the Taj Mahal. They were just building really cool buildings, and it's like, what if you could sell that to another player?
Well, see, the problem with that is if you're going to get people building these stupid, wacky buildings, the immersion's going to go, because you're going to be out in the desert, soaking in some Dune atmosphere. You've got the big bloody Tower of Pisa behind you, and the big cock that's been created out of steel.
Who harvests blood occasionally, but you do what you got to do. Now that I have my basic needs all met, I'm staying hydrated in some unkosher ways, and I'm having my base. How do I protect myself and my base from the world? Like, what am I doing for combat here?
So the game has a full leveling system, right? And we do this thing we call combined arms.
Leveling system.
We have melee, we have ranged, and we have abilities, and we also have vehicles, right? So
Great.
players can use any combination of these in combat, right? So it's kind of creates this interesting dynamic. So you can learn abilities from the great schools of the universe and learn how to be a Bene Gesserit, compelling your enemies to come close to you so that you can stab them with a knife. And you combine your, so you combine.
It kind of hints that there are NPC players
out.
out.
Sword master and leap in with a knee charge, knocking people to the ground and then stabbing them. Or you can choose to be like a trooper, and you use your Shigawai reel to pull you up like a grappling hook, to pull you to high places where you can shoot down on your enemies with sniper rifles and shotguns.
That's very Star Wars,
So
the Old
there's a
Republic,
large
isn't it?
variety
What was
of
the
weapons that you can craft
Knights of the Old
throughout
Republic?
the
No, the Old
system.
Republic, the
In
MMO
addition to these
version of the game.
abilities that you learn as you level up your character, so you kind of have this freedom of choice, and that's really what Combined Arms is all about. It's sandbox combat. That's what we're trying to call it and what we're going for, right?
Are those hard locked in classes, or is there like a? Can I explore different skill trees? Like, can I
good
be
question.
a swordsman or a swordsmaster and also use the voice? Is that possible?
It's absolutely possible. You just have to find the right trainer in the world who'll teach you these things. So you choose in character creation, you make a choice of who was your mentor when you were young. And then you choose one of the things, and that determines your set of starting abilities. But then when you play the game, you find trainers in the world. You have to do things for them, but then they'll eventually teach you some of the way.
Good. That to me says you can actually create a few different characters, especially if you've got
I
set
love that.
skills,
Okay, so
how you
a lot of
design
the
each
things to
character.
explore there as a player.
That means there's going to be some replayability, which I like.
All in order to protect myself and maybe my friends if I feel like it. What am I protecting? Like, how do I protect myself against sandworms? Like, can I fight them? Can I ride them? Like, what's the deal with them?
Sandworms are like a tension mechanic in the game. We want you to be really worried every time you walk on the sand. So you really need to think about what you're doing. So there is no way to kill or defeat sandworms.
No,
the only thing
I
you can
cannot.
do, you just cannot. The only thing you can do is avoid the sandworms, right? So you craft yourself a thumper and place it out to distract a sandworm. Maybe you use it to lure a sandworm onto some friends of yours or some
Friends,
depending on how
as
you
one
feel.
does.
And the other thing you can do, of course, is craft yourself a vehicle. Like we have a range of vehicles in the game, including the iconic ornithopters, and players will be able to craft these, and you'll be able to use these to, of course, traverse safely, right? If you're in an ornithopter, you fly above.
Cool.
If you're on a sand bike or something like that, you can move quickly across the sand.
Sand bike could be quite cool. Hope it's like the one from Dark Knight.
Hopefully.
I
I was hoping. I love constant looming threat. Sounds really stressful. Sounds perfect, actually, for a survivor.
Go on, ask better questions.
Now, you already alluded to some of the cooperative things one can do in-game. Can you elaborate a little bit more here or dive deeper into this? Like,
Sure.
Can I, like, fully go on a journey with someone and like do tasks with each other? Like, what can I do with other people?
Yeah, so I mean, hook up with your friends, join together with a grouping system. We have a ping system, so you can, obviously point out things to players. You will find different roles that you can assume based on the kind of combination of abilities you want to bring with you, and then you can heal your friends, of course, get them up when they get knocked down in combat, things
Good.
like that. And then,
Basic
of course,
stuff.
you go on journeys like we have a system called the journey system. You can go on those journeys together and sort of explore the mystique of the universe.
Taking
with
that
we also
instances.
have a contract system. When you go to trade posts, you'll be able to take contracts. Your friend and you can go out and explore and do these contracts together. We have small group play. We have guild play. It's all kind of what you'd expect.
Guild
to see
play,
in a
excellent.
social experience.
What's your take on the politics? Because obviously the books and the movies, that's a big part of it. Like, the
I'm
whole
interested in this. See what they
political
say.
intrigue.
Anything similar to
How
Anarchy Online would be quite fun.
predominant is that in the game?
I mean, we want players to be able to dip into it. So you start the game kind of lost in the desert, right? And then by the end of the game, maybe you're the next Baron Harkonnen. So as you play through the game,
And who doesn't want to be?
Love the idea of Lost in the Desert. Imagine leaving Newland
Oh yeah.
and just working your
as
way
you
up
make your
to
way
being
through the game, you progress.
the
and
head
you
of the,
sort of, meet these factions.
head of
involved,
Omnitech
right,
or,
the Atreides and the Harkonnen,
is
a
it Philip Ross?
War of Assassins going on, as it's called. And as a player, you decide which side you want to help, which side you want to join. Then you start to partake in missions for those factions. And eventually, you work your way up through the ranks of the factions, and maybe you take on a position of power as well. So
That's quite
the
cool.
politics are, they're designed to actually encourage players to develop their own politics around the sandbox systems, right? So we have this Landsrad. The Landsrad will demand that players do certain things. The factions need to work together or against each other to achieve these goals, right? So there's also this sandbox element to the politics.
Which also then
Right.
encourages like co-op play or PvP play.
Co-op play or PvP play, yeah. Yeah, there's this
Like
kind of
PvP.
idea that, like, when people have the same objective, but they're on opposite sides, it becomes a race between them to achieve that
Great, so
objective, and they do
sides.
all
So there
sorts
are
of
different
things to
sides
get
you can
to the top,
choose.
right?
Sounds about right.
I wonder if
Can I
PvP is
hop
going to be
down
something you
for a
switch
quick
on or
minute
switch
to
off.
live My peaceful little Swiss life in the cottage.
Absolutely, you can play however you want. I mean, the idea.
I
is
take
to
that as you
let
can
people
choose a
use
neutral
their
faction.
budget how they like. We have one of the rules, one of the pillars of the game is expression and customization, and that's not just about visuals. It's customizing how you want to play the game. So it's really thinking about like, well, I really like to craft and just set up my little crafting setup and sell things on the exchange to other players.
Yeah.
So you can do that. You can basically live your life as a crafter. You can also be an architect, as we talked about. You know, you can be a pilot, a
Engineer.
scout. You're not really heavily involved in the fighting, but you go out and you craft maps that you sell to other players as well.
That's quite cool. So there's trade skilling.
Where are we currently at?
merchant
any
style
different
class.
betas, already. How many more of those are coming? When is the next one? What's the status of development? Where are we at?
So yeah, we've been running betas now for several months. They've been going really well. We're slowly inviting more people over time. So the game, yeah, I mean, we're not going to rush it out the door. We're going to work.
Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the link to the sign up for the beta in the chat below. So if you're interested, I'll post everything I can regarding the game in the comments section.
And yeah, betas are continuing, right, all the way through launch, and we're going to keep increasing the number of people in those betas.
Good.
And every week, the Coriolis storm sweeps in and completely
I don't care about you.
on this journey.
Colon storm.
I hope today's show was like your first taste of spice.
To any of the future closed beta tests, head on over to duneawakening.com. And
There you go, there it is, duneawakening.com. And it's over on Steam.
You can also join our Discord and follow our
I'm going to do that right now.
Dune Awakening. Also, of course, you can keep up to date on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, where we will be showcasing regular sneak peeks into the world.
I'm just having a little look. So we've got Dune Awakening here.
Here is the moment that I'm pretty sure everyone has been waiting for. Let's take a look at our brand new gameplay trailer for Dune Awakening.
I think we've just seen that. Let's have a look. Yeah, we've seen this one. I'm going to have a look and see if there's any more gameplay footage on YouTube. So,
Few survive.
gameplay footage. Right, this is 8 months ago. I don't really want to play something that's 8 months ago. We've got Dune Awakening gameplay. Looks very promising. Thanks.
Awakening gameplay.
Oh no, I don't want to take anyone else's content. By the looks of things, oh, PlayStation 5. 5 minutes. Yes, that'll do. Right, I'm going to turn the audio off because I'm going to steal this person's content. Right, okay, so these are just going to be cinematics, I guess, or like visuals. So there isn't really that much. By looking at YouTube up here, I can't really see too much new content of things that we haven't already seen. This reminds me of Star Citizen, not Star Citizen. What's the what's that Bethesda game? I can't remember. I played it for ages. There you go. So this is quite interesting. It's a group fucking hell, what am I trying to say? Teamed missions, I hope. That's a questionable walk cycle. They look like they're stumbling around. So we got a guy with a knife, a woman with a sniper rifle. That's quite cool. Big anusy worm. I did like the idea of her talking about the merchant class. She was saying that you can essentially don't have to be a part of the combat. You can actually disappear and be a merchant and sell blueprints, which I like the idea. Going off and harvesting, mining, smelting, building, and you don't actually have to get. Oh, this is quite interesting. Let's stop this. Look, if this is outposts, so you've got people building on the side of mountains, and you can imagine that being quite cool. Like you're defending your base against people in these kind of dragonfly vehicles. So let's just stop a second because I was trying to relate this to Anarchy Online, see if there's any similarities. The hints I found were the idea there are factions. There isn't too much about customizability, apart from the fact that when you make a player, you can choose what kind of specific skills you get from the beginning, which means that I can imagine you can't go back and change that unless you make another character. So I take away from that you can actually have a few characters, and they did mention healing, range, melee, although you can customize and bring them all together, it's the skills that separates you apart. So the fact that he mentioned that you select, was it 3 skills at the start, means that you have, hopefully you have the ability to have a few characters, maybe 3 or 4, all with different professions, classes. I don't know, but he kind of hinted at that. What else did we get? We got these are all just my things over here. Let's get rid of that. What else? Let's have a little look. Let's go to, right, here we go. So we got Dune here. Let's play this. Let's play this while I waffle on. Remember again, so this is still the early beta.
Arrakis is a test.
A bit loud.
Few survive it.
But yeah, I mean, it's definitely trying to merge both an MMO and a survival MMO at the same time. But we just need more footage. Let's have a look, see if I can find... Oops. Right, I'm just going to have a look and see if I can find what people are commenting on. So it'd be good to get... Some people have any more information on it. It'd be good to have a little looky poos. Right. Release date. So release date. Not yet. To be announced. Developer and publisher by Funcom. Massive open world. Right, so... Oops, just got a few graphic bugs. There we go. So... we've had looked into all the trailers, the new trailer, the gameplay, and the chat with the chief operating officer. I can't remember what it's called, but he went into good details about it. I'm going to keep an eye on this game and see if I can get any more information regarding this, and I'm going to post it as soon as I get it, because I'm super excited about this game. It does seem like a hodgepodge between the Star Wars MMO game. I can't quite remember. It's not Knights of the Old Republic, but I think it's called the Old Republic or something. It's got a bit of that influence there. I didn't see too much Anarchy Online influences, just speculations on how the game, the world, and the politics might be. He did talk about Age of Conan in the base building and bringing people in, like group-based tasks to do. I'm gonna have to wait until his name is Joel Bylas.